Hey guys, what's going on? MJ Madness here, and the NFL season is right around the corner. So today I am going to be giving you my complete season preview and predictions. Basically, what I'm going to be doing is breaking down every single division and every single team before moving on to give you my picks for the playoffs and finally the Super Bowl. So, without further ado, let's get things started over in the NFC with our first division, the Nfc North, and this should be an interesting one. What probably won't be interesting, though, is the team that I predict to be at the bottom of this division, because in fourth place, I'm going with the Detroit Lions. I think if it weren't for Houston, the Lions might be the worst team in football this year. I don't know how Jared Goff is going to work out, but it's a clear downgrade from Matt Stafford, though I do think it was the right move to make. They needed to rebuild, and they've now started that process, but I think there's going to be some painful years in Detroit before they move towards being a contender. Still, if they can just develop some of their young players, I love the addition of Penei Sewell, then maybe down the line they'll be back and a playoff team. This year, though, I don't think they'll be very good. In third place, I'm going with the Chicago Bears. I think how you think the Bears will do really depends on their hot new rookie prospect, quarterback Justin Fields. What do we think about him? Is he even going to be starting with Andy Dalton in the way? It's all a very interesting debate. For me, if I'm Chicago, I give Fields the keys to the kingdom, let him start at QB and see where he goes with things, because he has a lot of potential and I totally see him taking off. And if he does that, then they could be a playoff team with the defense they had. Instead, though, I think they'll be somewhere a little bit more in the middle. Fields will take some time to develop, and because of that, I could see them playing some competitive games, but still, I don't have them any higher than third. In second place, I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are a bit of an enigma. They've had some up and down years, some talented players, questions about quarterback play, and I think that means they'll be one of those teams in the mushy middle. I see them pushing for a wild card spot. In the end, though, I think they fall just short. Still, though, I have them second in the NFC North. But in first place, the usual suspects, the Green Bay Packers. This may be the last year with Aaron Rodgers at the helm, and I think they're going to make the most of it. I see the Packers as being a force once again. Matt LaFleur is a great coach. This team is a well-oiled machine, and I don't think it's going to be a question of can they get to the playoffs or not. But again, the question marks will be, are they able to elevate their game and take that next step to push to a Super Bowl? And I think the jury is still out on that question. But concluding the NFC North, next up, we're moving on to the NFC East. And this one may be one of the worst divisions in football, unfortunately. It should be fun, but there just aren't too many talented teams here. But out of the lowest of the pack of those not so very talented teams, I have the New York Giants here in fourth place. The Giants, again, may be trending in the right direction. Maybe Daniel Jones is the answer, maybe not, but we just don't know. And so I think it's going to be a tough year in New York. And another place where I see it being a tough year is this third place team, which is the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles, I think, made the right decision for them to move on from Carson Wentz, but we don't really know what the answer is at quarterback yet. Is it Jalen Hurts? I'm not sure, and I think it'll take some time to figure that out, but the Eagles don't really have an opportunity, I think, for much success this year with all those questions at quarterback play, and it's really shocking to see how much they've fallen off from that Super Bowl victory only a few short years ago. In second place, though, I have the Washington football team, and hopefully we'll have an actual name for them announced pretty soon. The Washington football team, honestly, is pretty cool as it is, but this team is another one where they have some very nice pieces, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Honestly, just looking at that defense, it's one of the best in football. I think Ron Rivera is a solid coach. I think this is an organization that's probably trending in the right direction, but where the wheels fall off is on the offensive side of the ball, because this team, which already had incredible offensive struggles last year, is now giving their starting quarterback position to journeyman, old backup Ryan Fitzpatrick, which he has some magic in him, that's true, but I don't think he's going to be able to truly succeed there over the course of a full season. Still, as I mentioned earlier, I think they have a great defense that's going to keep them in a lot of games and will be enough for them to take this second spot in a weaker division. However, I think they will fall short of a wild card spot in the end because you need that offense, you need that quarterback play to make a difference down the stretch. And I'm just not completely sold that the Washington football team will be able to do that. In first place in this division, though, I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys. I am going with the boys. I know they aren't a great team. I know there are question marks everywhere about coaching, about defense, about Dak, about all of these different things. But when you just look at who they're facing in this division, I think they're going to be the best of the worst. They're going to rack up some wins. They are playing the opening kickoff matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Thursday Night Football, which should be, I think, a great measuring stick for them and for fans of the league to kind of figure out what this Dallas Cowboys team is all about. I don't see them as a serious Super Bowl contender, but I do think they have enough talent and enough good pieces in this weaker NFC East division that they can make it back to the playoffs and win the division. Third division in the NFC is this Nfc South. Another very interesting one. In fourth place, I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons, what can I say about the Falcons? Over these past few years, they have just had history of collapses and meltdowns and chaos and tumultuous everything. And with Matt Ryan at the helm, I think that's still going to happen this year. It's a core that is aging, that's maybe not as good as they used to be, and they're slowly trying to usher in some new players, kind of beginning a rebuild, but also not really beginning a rebuild. So really in, I think, a spot below mediocrity where they might struggle this season. I do, though, love Kyle Pitts as a draft pick. I think they have some weapons on the offensive side of the ball for sure. That will mean their games will be interesting. It's always interesting to watch the Falcons. They could put up 40 points one game and then blow a 20-point lead the next. So they should be entertaining. I just don't think they'll be very good. In third place, I'm going with the Carolina Panthers. And this is a team where all of the questions are surrounding their success have to do with the quarterback position, and more specifically, if you believe that Sam Darnold is the answer. Last season with Teddy Bridgewater, we quickly realized that he was not the answer. The Panthers lost a bunch of close games with a young team. Will Sam Darnold be the answer, though, this year? I don't know. I think he could be. I'm just not completely convinced yet, and I think we'll need to see it in action. The pieces around Sam Darnold, though, I really do like. I think this is sneakily one of the most talented offenses in the NFC with McCaffrey and some great wide receivers. The defense is very young, but also has some skill back there with Derek Brown and now high draft pick new cornerback out of South Carolina, J.C. Horn. And so I think this is a team that is building towards something good, but to really, I think, make it back to being a playoff team, they have to answer their question at quarterback. And if Sam Darnold is the answer, then this could be a playoff team. But I just don't think you can put that faith in him yet without seeing how he performs on the field. And so, for that reason, I still have the Panthers in third place. In second place, I'm going with the New Orleans Saints. And the Saints are at a time of transition. Drew Brees, who has been the face of that franchise for so many years, is gone, is retired, and now Jameis Winston is taking over. Jameis Winston, oh my goodness, what can I say about Jameis? He is another absolute wild card. Just in terms of pure entertainment value, the NFC South is going to be so much fun because you always have to tune into games with Jameis just to see what's happening with the interceptions and the crazy plays and all of that. I think Jameis is going to be better than a lot of people are expecting. And the real reason I see the Saints succeeding, though, is not because of Jameis, but just because of the culture and the pieces surrounding him. He's in an atmosphere where he is set up for success. And so I think he'll be good enough to give the Saints some success this season. Will they be a Super Bowl contender like they were in years past? No, I don't think so. But I do think they'll at least be good enough for second place in the NFC South, and I see them snagging a wild card spot in the process as well. But in first place in this division, who else could it be but the defending champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, bringing back their entire roster, absolutely, I think, the favorite to come out of the NFC and represent the conference in the Super Bowl, and with good reason. Tom Brady may be a year older, but that hasn't seemed to stop him in the past, and this team is just talented, and I could see them getting even better, which is pretty crazy to say, considering they're coming off a Super Bowl victory. But I think they're eager to push for a repeat, and I do think it's possible. It'll be great to see them against the Cowboys in that opening night matchup, of course, see if this team is as good as they were next year, if they've taken the next step, or if they've fallen back. But for right now, I see them once again being a contender and a real threat to win the Super Bowl this season. The final division in the NFC, and I think perhaps both the most exciting one and the best division in all of football, is the NFC West. This division is loaded. Oh my goodness, what can I say about the NFC West? Every single one of these teams has a real case to be made that they could be playoff contenders. And so it's disappointing, honestly, for the ones at the bottom, but that's sort of just how it goes. The team that I have at the bottom is the Arizona Cardinals, who showed flashes of incredible potential last season. Kyler Murray has shown some brilliance and also some averageness, so we'll have to see where he falls in between the two. DeAndre Hopkins, of course, making that move signaled that the Cardinals were going all in to being a contender. And I think if they were in any other division in the NFC, they'd have a good shot of at least being a playoff team. Here, though, in this absolutely deep and loaded NFC West, where they're going to have to play 2 games against each of these other 3 talented teams, I just don't think it's going to be good enough for the Cardinals to be a playoff team. Though, of all the predictions I made, this is one where I could totally see myself being wrong and them surprising, because I do like this Cardinals team a lot. I just think with the circumstances they're in, it's going to be difficult. In third place, I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks, and people may think I'm underrating the Seahawks here. Trust me, I'm not. The Seahawks are a very good team. I think they'll get a wild card spot pretty easily. Again, it's just a consequence of being in this great division. But they still have a top 5 quarterback in football. They still have great coaching. They still have some talented weapons. Though on the other hand, they still have all those questions about can they support Russell Wilson? And I don't think they've done enough to answer those questions just yet. So I think it'll be another sort of classic Seattle Seahawks season where they'll make the playoffs, they'll have some good wins, but ultimately won't really make too much noise once the postseason actually hits until they sort of do more to support Russell Wilson. Maybe this will be the season. I'm not sure it will be, though. In second place, I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers. This is another team that has a lot of great pieces in place, and the big question mark is the quarterback position. Jimmy Garoppolo has been good, but not great, and so they made the move to draft Trey Lance 3rd overall, and now there may be a quarterback competition between the two, but Lance is dealing with an injury, and so Garoppolo's starting week 1. It's all very up in the air and ambiguous. I personally think with Garoppolo, they'll be a good team. With Lance, they could be mediocre, but they also have that potential to be great. So I think as soon as Lance is healthy, if I were the 49ers, I'd give him a shot and just see how things go. But I think this is a team, the quarterback questions are there, but they know at least they'll have a baseline of decent quarterback play, and they've got great pieces on defense, great coaching, great depth around the quarterback. So even if the test isn't answered with flying colors, they'll still be a good enough, solid playoff team, I think. So I have them second in the NFC West and also grabbing a wild card spot. In first place, though, the new look Los Angeles Rams. This team is looking exciting. Jared Goff to Matthew Stafford is a big-time upgrade. They are going all in on pushing for a Super Bowl. They have some big contracts, but also some big talent with Aaron Donald, with Jalen Ramsey, now with Matthew Stafford. This team should be fun, should be exciting. Sean McVay, is he a great coach? We don't know yet, but he has shown some flashes of it. And so I think the Rams will be a team to watch all season long, and I have them at the top of this very competitive division. So to recap, with my NFC standings and who I see as making the playoffs, I have the Saints in 7th. Remember, we have one new wild card spot this year, so I think they get the last playoff spot. The Seahawks in 6th, and then the 49ers in 5th. All 3 of those teams getting the wild card spots. Moving up to the division winners, in 4th place, I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys, who I think come out on top of a pretty weak division. In third place, the Green Bay Packers, who should be once again a very solid team, potentially Aaron Rodgers' last run. In second place, the new look LA Rams. And then in first place in the NFC, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers once again should be a force. But now that I've given you my breakdown of the NFC, I'm going to jump on over to the AFC. And the first division we have here is the AFC North. In fourth place in this division, I'm going with the Cincinnati Bengals. You know, for a team who drafted a quarterback first overall last year, I think there has been surprisingly little talk about the Bengals. And maybe that's fair. Burrow has injury issues right now, and they're not on paper a very good team. I do think they're building towards something in Cincinnati, and they just need to make a few moves to get them to that next step. For one, they need Jamar Chase to be good. It's simple as that. And with the drop issues he's had in preseason and training camp, there are huge questions there. Huge questions on if they should have taken Sewell instead of him. But if he pans out with Burrow and the few other weapons they've got up there on offense, you've got already the makings of a team that can make some noise. Now you got to build the offensive line, you got to build the defense. That's going to take some time, but I think with Burrow, I believe in him, and I think you've got the pieces in place. You just got to keep that rebuild going. The first step, to me, might be firing Coach Zach Taylor. I'm not sure he's the answer there. Though, again, maybe it's just the roster he's given. I'm not sure. But I do think the Bengals are potentially trending in the right direction. They're just a few years away. A team I see as trending in the wrong direction is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they're slipping a little bit more into mediocrity, and this year is really going to reveal that. So I think they'll be competitive, they'll put up a fight, push for the playoffs, but I think they'll be, at the end of the day, on the outside looking in, and I have them finishing up in third place. In second place, I'm going with the Cleveland Browns. Yes, I think the Cleveland Browns are going to be a good team this year. I see them snagging a wildcard spot and perhaps even more. They have got talent. Baker Mayfield, he's gotten his swagger back. They've got a lot of the things you'd need to see a team that's going to make some noise in the playoffs. And so it seems hard to believe and still crazy even for me to say it. But yes, I think the Browns are good enough to be a solid team this year that might make some noise. In first place, I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens. Again, they've had trouble getting it done in the playoffs, but they have, for many years, been a very good regular season team. They've been well coached. They have good depth pieces. They have talent. Lamar Jackson is a very good quarterback. Despite the questions of his arm, he can get it done at least in the regular season. I think that should be enough for them to win this division. Whether it'll be enough for them to make a run in the playoffs, that's a completely different story. But at least for this season, I think they'll be a good team. The next division we have is the AFC East. In fourth place in the AFC East, I'm going with the New York Jets. The Jets at least should be interesting. And I think they are heading in the right direction, sort of similar to the Bengals last year, in that they've now brought in the quarterback of the future, potentially, in Zach Wilson. They fired their terrible head coach, Adam Gase, and I think it means the Jets should be a bit of a dumpster fire, but maybe an entertaining one, and at least tune in to see how Zach Wilson fares this year. So I still have them at fourth place, but I like the moves they've made in the offseason, and maybe in a few years they'll be somewhere else. In third place here, I'm going with the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are a team that are somehow forgettable, which is kind of weird for being in Miami and for some of the pieces they have. But it's like, I could totally see the Dolphins being a playoff team. I could also see them being completely out of contention. It wouldn't surprise me either way, and I wouldn't really care either way. I am interested, though, in how Tua Tagovailoa is going to fare this season. He had a rough rookie season, but I think it might still be too early to move on from him. I could see him bouncing back, and so that should be an entertaining storyline at least. In second place, the New England Patriots. Mac Jones, what do we think? I know what I think. I think before the Patriots drafted him, I didn't believe in him at all, but anytime Bill Belichick has a quarterback, you just get scared. And so I think Mac Jones now that he's on New England, maybe, just maybe, he might be good. He's looked decent in preseason. Does that matter? Who knows? But I think Mac Jones, he may be actually a solid piece there, which is crazy to say considering how many people thought he was a product of a loaded Alabama team in college. But when you join the Patriots, they got some voodoo there. They just make competitive teams happen, it seems. And so they've made the decision to move on from Cam Newton, bring in Mac Jones, and I think it'll be entertaining. I don't actually, though, see them as a playoff team yet. But if Mac Jones succeeds, they absolutely could be, and I see them right on that bubble on the outside looking in. In first place in the AFC East, I'm going with the Buffalo Bills. I think the Bills are going to run this division. This team is so much fun. Great quarterback play, solid talent on both sides of the ball. They've got an incredible atmosphere up there in Buffalo, good coaching, great general management. It's just all the pieces you need to build a contender. They've done that. The Bills should be, I think, a lesson to a lot of teams on how to rebuild successfully. And they've done that, I think, and now we're going to reap the rewards in these next few seasons. So I see the Bills right at the top here of this division. Moving on to the AFC South. In fourth place, I think I mentioned a little bit earlier that the Lions are lucky there's another team that exists that'll be worse than them this season. Well, that team is the Houston Texans. Oh, boy. Texans fans, if you exist, I feel so sorry for you guys because, my goodness, this team, this organization is just, I don't even know what to say that hasn't already been said. It's a dumpster fire. It's a disaster. It is, I don't know. I can't put it to words, but the Texans, like, my question for you viewers, can you even name for me 2 players on the Texans roster right now? Because I don't know if I could. I guess they have Tyrod Taylor and Deshaun Watson, but I don't know. It's just this team, I think there are going to be some long years ahead for Houston. They don't even have talented rookie prospects to sort of at least give them hope for the future. And so I don't think there's any team in a worse situation in the NFL than the Texans, and I think they'll be one of the worst teams that we've seen. Not just the worst team in the league, but historically, I think one of the worst teams we'll have seen in NFL history. I just think they're going to be garbage, and that's too bad, but when you mismanage a team as badly as the Texans have done, that's sort of what happens. Okay, sorry for the tangent about Houston. I just don't know what to say about them. But anyways, in third place, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look at you, Jacksonville. You have now got your franchise savior quarterback of the future, Trevor Lawrence. Are you going to be a playoff team? No, I don't think so. There's a lot more work to be done. But you've got the building block there now at least. And I think no matter what, I am so excited to see how Trevor Lawrence plays. And so that should be very, very fun. In second place, the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts, man, imagine if they had Andrew Luck now. They would be incredible. But even without him, I think Carson Wentz is going to be good enough. And again, he's sort of similar to Jameis Winston on the Saints, where I think he's just in a good situation to succeed with not crazy expectations, but well-coached, good core, talent around him. And that's going to be enough for both the Colts and the Saints to be solid playoff teams. So yeah, I have the Colts second here and snagging a wild card spot. They're not going to make too much noise in the postseason, I don't think, but they'll be at least good enough to grab a playoff spot. In first place in this division, though, I'm going with the Tennessee Titans. I've loved the move the Titans have made this offseason. Julio Jones, awesome acquisition. And so, again, the question with, is Tannehill elite? Is he the one to get them over the hump? I'm not sure yet, but he has looked very good, and the team around him is solid. And so because of that, I think the Titans are going to win this division pretty easily, and maybe we'll do even more once the playoffs. But the final division is the AFC West. Fourth place here, the Denver Broncos. They've brought in Teddy Bridgewater. I watched a lot of Bridgewater with Carolina last year. I just don't know if he's the answer. Will he be better than Drew Lock? Probably, but if you're Denver, I would just honestly bottom out rather than kind of go for that mediocrity that Bridgewater brings, because that's what I think is going to happen. They are going to be a team who the defense will keep them in games. Bridgewater's a fine enough game manager, but I don't think anyone's going to even expect them to sniff the playoffs at all. And so, I don't know. It's just a tough situation for the Broncos, and I think they'll sort of be a little bit in that bubble of mediocrity or just below it, but maybe not bad enough to tank. We'll see, though. It should be interesting, at least, to see how things pan out. In third place, the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are always fun. They're, again, one of those teams, maybe like the Falcons, who they can be absolute garbage, but the game will still be fun to tune into and watch. And so I think the Raiders will have some high-scoring games. They'll have some explosive offensive performances. I don't think it's good enough for them to be a serious playoff team, but I still think they'll be entertaining. In second place, a team that I do think can be a serious playoff team, the Los Angeles Chargers. I am a believer in Justin Herbert. He is great. He is, I think, maybe will end up the best quarterback to come out of last year's draft because he seems absolutely excellent. He's the future there in Los Angeles, and the team around him, it's coming together. The Chargers have had a history of choking games and sort of never living up to expectations. I think this year they'll take a step towards being better, and that'll begin with a second-place finish in this division and a wild card spot. But the team I have at the top, who else? The Kansas City Chiefs. Won a Super Bowl 2 years ago, lost the Super Bowl this last season, and now Patrick Mahomes and company are looking for revenge. The Chiefs are going to be incredible once again, looking to build that modern-day dynasty. I don't know what can be said about them that hasn't already been said. This is an incredible team that we're watching, and we should really appreciate it. They are going to light up the league once again, and there's nothing anyone else can do in this division, or in the rest of the NFL for that matter, than just watch and sort of enjoy the magic. Okay, but that's going to wrap up my team-by-team breakdown of all the divisions, sort of summarizing how I think the AFC will turn out. The 7 playoff teams, 7th, taking that last wild card spot, I'm going with the Indianapolis Colts. In 6th place, the LA Chargers with Herbert at the helm. In 5th place, I'm going with the Cleveland Browns. 4th place, the lowest division winner, the Tennessee Titans. In 3rd place, I have the Baltimore Ravens. In 2nd place, I have the upstart Buffalo Bills. And in 1st place, at the top, the Kansas City Chiefs. Those are my playoff teams for both conferences, but just because I have the Buccaneers and the Chiefs at the top in the regular season doesn't mean that's who I have in the postseason. And so to conclude this video, I'm going to get into my Super Bowl predictions. And I know the Chiefs and the Buccaneers will be the favorites for sure, but where's the fun in that? No, I want to look to the upstart teams that might be able to make a run. And the two that really stand out to me in each conference are the Los Angeles Rams in the NFC and the Buffalo Bills in the AFC. These are two teams, I think, who have legitimate top 10, maybe even top 5 quarterbacks who can win games for you. These are teams who have good coaches, who have great defenses, who have weapons that the quarterbacks can take advantage of. And I think what that's going to mean is these teams are going to be good. They also don't have an incredible amount of pressure to win the Super Bowl. They're not the favorites. And so I think because of that, I have these guys matching up in the Super Bowl. So yes, my prediction for the 2021 Super Bowl is a matchup between the Buffalo Bills and the Los Angeles Rams. And it would be a fun one. These are two high-powered offensive teams, great talent, superstars on both sides of the ball, and I think it would be one that would be a heavyweight bout that could definitely go down to the wire. I could see it going either way, but I've got to make a prediction, and if I had to, then the team that I'm predicting to be your 2021 Super Bowl champions is the Buffalo Bills. Yes, that's right. I'm going with the Bills. I believe in Buffalo. I believe in Josh Allen. I believe in Sean McDermott. I believe in their defense. I believe in everything about this team. I think they showed us last year they're ready to become a serious contender, and this will be the season where they cement that. And win a Super Bowl, make all of Buffalo happy, and really knock off maybe the modern day dynasty in the Kansas City Chiefs, maybe the Rams, maybe the Buccaneers, who knows? But I think they're the best team in the NFL. I really do. And so because of that, I'm going with the Bills as my Super Bowl champions. But that's just my prediction. So please let me know down in the comments below who you see as matching up in the Super Bowl and who you think will ultimately be the victors. Additionally, I'd love to hear your thoughts about my standings, where you think teams will end up. And of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already for more NFL content all season long. I know I'm excited for the season to start. I'm sure you guys are too. And so stick with this channel and we'll be covering it the entire way. But that's going to do it for this video. So thank you all so much for watching and see you next time.